Dan Dickau here for Gonzaga Nation SI, the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. Well, we're taking a look on our website as well as our podcast on what the backcourt situation currently looks like at the point guard position for Gonzaga. Some transition, good. A little bit of question marks are still hanging out as far as if they're going to do any more additions to the roster in regards to uh, those positions. But we'll start right off the top. Nolan Hickman started every game a season ago at the point guard position, except for senior night. So I got to throw that out there. But I thought he showed great improvement from freshman to sophomore year. As a freshman, only averaged about 5 points a game. But that was due in part to the fact that Andrew Nembhard really never came off the floor in important moments 2 seasons ago. So there was the growth curve of then now being the relied upon ball handler, decision maker for Gonzaga a season ago, in which I thought Nolan Hickman really improved throughout the course of the year. He had some turnover problems early. Those were corrected due to a lot of practice time, film work, just maturation as a player, really. But at the end of the year, his assist to turnover ratio was close to 2.5 to 1, which anytime you're over 2 is good. You start creeping up into 2.5 or higher. That is very good. So, I think there are things that obviously he is going to address. He's going to work on. He's going to improve upon to be ready for next year, because there is a challenger for many minutes. But I wouldn't look at it as a challenger. I think it's going to be a complementary partnership with him and Ryan Nembhard coming in. But staying with Nolan Hickman, as a sophomore, averaged about a little over 7.5 points per game. Field goal percentage overall dipped from his freshman year, but that's sometimes to be expected when there are more attempts. You get a different kind of shot when you were a 12 to 15 minute a game guy going against second unit type backcourt players versus when you are the starting point guard going up against that level. So there was an adjustment in regards to that for him. But, he did shoot over 35% from the field, knocked down over a 3 a game. I think that will improve leading into this next year, because when I've seen him shoot, his mechanics are solid, his footwork, his base, and his decision-making of when to shoot is solid. So it's just a matter of repping it out and understanding open shot, take them, not move it on. But I think his handle has gotten better. I think his creativity, his willingness to create for himself will get better, but his willingness to create for others is definitely there. I think when you look at it, he started as a sophomore. I see no reason he's not going to start this next upcoming year alongside Ryan Nembhard, because Gonzaga's best teams have traditionally had 2 ball handler decision makers on the floor at all times. Now, you can call him a point guard, you can call him a 2 guard, whatever you want. But really, the best teams that Coach Few has always had have been multiple ball handler decision makers. And so that's why I think Hickman is going to start alongside Ryan Nembhard next year. So Nembhard, big time addition, very exciting addition for Gonzaga. It'd be interesting as more comes out and he gets to be involved in the Spokane and Gonzaga community a little bit with his story. Is, did Gonzaga recruit him coming out of high school because his brother was there, or did they overlook him, or was it just not something that was of interest to both sides at the time? That'll be curious to find out. But obviously he made the decision, and he said a lot of it had to do with just how well his brother's career flourished in Spokane at Gonzaga. But Nembhard, 2 years at Creighton as a freshman, averaged over 11 a game and nearly 4.5 assists per game as a sophomore on a really good team. 23rd ranked offense in the country. Creighton finished the season in the top 15, I believe, in all polls. As a sophomore, he averaged over 12 points, 4 rebounds, nearly 5 assists per game. His overall field goal percentage is a little higher than Hickman's, but their 3-point percentage is right at the same. I mean, he's at 36% from the 3. 53 made threes on the season. So, he averages about 1.5 threes made per game. So neither one of those guys are, a true knockdown dead-eye shooter, but I think they both have the ability to get hot and make multiple threes in a game. But, where I like Nembhard is in pick and rolls, and I like him in pushing the pace. I think that's something that when you have two ball handlers, you can keep the pressure on the defense, on the opponent by, one guy doesn't have all the responsibilities to get them playing at pace, get them getting up and down the floor quickly. It's essentially quickest outlet to either one and go. You're not in that outlet position. You get out and go, and you can become interchangeable. But I think these two will really work well together. Now the question becomes, who becomes that third ball handler decision maker? Rasir Bolton was that at times a season ago. Malachi Smith was that at times a season ago. Obviously, Rasir Bolton, his eligibility is up. He won't be back. But Malachi Smith, even though he's in the NBA draft pool as of now, he does have the ability to come back for one more year of college due to that COVID year. So he averaged almost 9 points a game, over 50% from the field, did shoot 50% from the three, while making a little over one per game, but he's more of a catch and shoot guy as opposed to a ball handler facilitator, just with the way he plays. Can't really break the defense down. Did get better in pick and rolls, I thought, as the course of the season went on, but more of your, find an open space shooter type guy. But you're waiting as a fan to see, does he come back, or is Gonzaga waiting in the portal with a possibility of a player or maybe two, one of them being a guard if Smith doesn't come back? Because Dom Harris also, had left in the transfer portal, as did Hunter Salas. So there could be potentially one or two guards more arriving in the transfer portal. The one name that, had some interest, the point guard, Taron Armstrong, I believe it was Cal Baptist, or UC San Diego, one of those two schools. There's some interesting parts about his game because he passes it so well. Not a great shooter, but we'll see, if there is still interest in both directions. I haven't seen a decision from him in regards to where he's going, but couple things to keep in mind as offseason keeps getting further from the end of the season. The deadlines for Malachi Smith to return, and then movement in the transfer portal, anybody deciding to come to Gonzaga. Those are a couple things to keep in mind. But all in all, I think the backcourt is in good hands, in good position with Hickman and Nembhard, who I both feel will be starting next year together in the backcourt. So for Gonzaga Nation SI, appreciate you listening.